Systems are fully operational. Technician assigned. Sign off.
Sorry, spilled my coffee. All systems go. We're on standby.
Pacific Rim. Hello, I am the many-talented Mr. Jefferson, and I am here to talk about a brand new solo table that came out alongside the Universal TV classics Battlestar Galactica, Xena, Warrior Princess, and Knight Rider tables, and I don't envy any table trying to stand alone against such monsters, and also with a limited time free juggernaut of the FX2 era leading the charge. Super League Football is a classic, Battlestar is epic, Xena is legendary, and Knight Rider is explosive. But standing tall, all alone, and facing down monsters is exactly what Gypsy Danger was built for. I am a fan of most things mecha and kaiju, from Godzilla to Power Rangers to Transformers, Evangelion, and my channel logo is even rocking the Gurren Lagann sunglasses because that may be the very best mecha series I have ever seen. Pacific Rim is directed by the legendary Guillermo del Toro. Pacific Rim is a stylish action movie about giant robots made to fight interdimensional monsters. But there's a catch. Not just anybody can pilot a Jaeger. In fact, no one person can do it. It takes two minds connected and working in sync to even move a Jaeger. But if you have two souls in harmony, they can achieve nearly anything with one of these towering behemoths, bristling with armor plating and loaded with advanced weaponry. Pacific Rim is a kaiju movie for kaiju movie fans, and that's made very apparent by Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, whose character is basically a Power Rangers fan living in the Power Rangers world and bragging to the Power Rangers about how awesome the monsters are that are trying to constantly kill the Power Rangers while showing off his tattoos of monsters that they actually had to fight to the death. Of all of the mecha and kaiju franchises I have named, Pacific Rim reminds me the most of Evangelion, but like stripped of all the biblical themes. The pilots in Evangelion had to synchronize with their EVAs to operate them through a neural interface while fighting off the otherworldly angels who would attack one by one, and many other story elements from Evangelion are present in Pacific Rim. But Pacific Rim is a little bit more shallow than the very densely packed Evangelion, which probably has the most analyzed and discussed lore of any show ever made, except for maybe Lord of the Rings. Pacific Rim is about as shallow as the ocean in the movie, which is about hip deep at any given point. But what Pacific Rim does deliver are awesome looking robots getting trashed or murdering skyscraper-sized monsters, and that translates into an awesome pinball table. Front and center on the table is the humongous Gypsy Danger Jaeger, who's there to look badass, and the announcer for the table sounds suspiciously like GLaDOS from Portal, but using the voice modulation of the Sentry Turns from Portal. But there's a really good reason why it sounds like GLaDOS, and that's because the computer voice in the movie is literally just GLaDOS. They hired the exact same voice actress to give the exact same performance. It does make me miss Wheatley though, that backstabbing idiot. It's kind of weird for me to start at the centerpiece of the table, but it's also not something you can really interact with directly. If you hit the inner loop, Gypsy Danger will pick up the ball and throw it back onto the table, but its movements are dictated by the shots you make and the active modes. Down at the bottom of the table, you have two flippers. These flippers are notable because one of them will be lit, and they will alternate which flipper is lit when you hit a shot. This represents the two pilots working in tandem, and making shots from the lit flipper rewards a bonus, which may not seem like a whole lot, but this is a table with a very specific rhythm to it, and if you can find that rhythm, you will rack up a ton of bonus points. This table does have a much different rhythm from that of the new Xena table, but they do share something in common, and that is that it's usually perfectly safe to dead flip most of the ball returns. On the Xena table, this is a huge benefit because you really want to avoid hitting slingshots because you don't want the ball to bounce anywhere near those outlanes, and I feel like The Xena table punishes players who try to capture and control the ball, which is where most of these outlane drains may be coming from. I feel like I have a different playstyle because I prefer to slap at the ball as it's coming down and aim by timing my slaps to get the ball to bounce at a specific angle instead of trying to capture and slow down the ball for precision aiming. Pacific Rim, I feel, rewards a combination of the two styles of gameplay. Okay, at the bottom of the table, we're looking at the 2 standard flippers and 2 slingshots and 5 lanes with rollovers that spell out drift. The 2 outside lanes are out lanes with kickbacks. There is a habit trail that leads back to the middle left lane and another one that hits the right inside rollover. These rollovers will deactivate, and you usually know where the ball is going to return to, so rollover management is fairly easy on this table. Above the outlanes on either side of the table is a ball lock, which starts with a locked ball. Hit it once to start a timer and hit it a second time to release the locked ball. When the ball lock is empty, shoot it once to begin a timer and shoot it a second time to lock a ball. This is one of the most desirable shots on the table because multi-ball will give you a scoring modifier, which I will discuss later in the video, and locking the ball will allow you to take another skill shot. And since 3 successful skill shots will give you an extra ball, this is a shot you're going to want to practice. Next, up the left side of the table is the first ramp. This is an odd table in that it has not a single loop shot on the entire table. There is technically an inner loop, but it's actually a ball trap that interacts with the central mech toy to return the ball to the flipper, so it's not really a loop, but we're not quite to that shot yet, so let's go back to the first lane on the left. This first lane is the neural handshake ramp. Shoot the handshake ramp twice to start the mode, and that is true of all 4 lanes that start main modes. And of course, the 2 shots represents the 2 pilots who must synchronize to pilot the mechs. Help the pilots make their neural connection by shooting alternating sides of the playfield. The test run will fail because it did in the movie, because PTSD really sucks. You will need to power down the cannon by shooting the lit lanes and turn off the flashing lights during a diminishing score mode. The next lane over is the double event lane. Shoot the next lane over twice to begin double event. During double event, shoot the outer lanes, either the handshake or the bomb lane, to draw out leatherback. Shooting the other lanes will raise the next target score. Strike the kaiju with the ball 4 times to kill it. After defeating leatherback, shoot the double, spinner, core, award, or kaiju lanes to draw out Otachi. Otachi is a pop-up that changes location after a few seconds. Flashing lights will signal his next appearance so you can prepare to hit the target. Hit him 4 times to win the mode. I could wish that they did a little bit more with these kaiju battles than just pop-ups, but I really do like this mode, and it's a lot more fun when you have multi-ball running. The next lane over is more of a spinner with a sinkhole behind it, but it is one of my favorite shots on the table because you spin that spinner to activate kickbacks, and spinning it when you have kickbacks gives you a jackpot. It's one of the easiest shots on the table. In the center of the table are the middle targets and the core sinkhole. Hitting the bumpers will light up the middle targets, which will reward a hefty 500,000 points apiece when they are hit. The core isn't a particularly valuable shot most of the time, but it does light up one of the letters in Pacific, which is very valuable because spelling out Pacific will light up the prize orbit, which is the next lane on the left. And it isn't even a real orbit, but hey, I'm not going to complain about a random reward, and besides, I love the way that Gypsy Danger fires the ball back at the flipper, because it's like a game of mecha baseball. To the left of the prize orbit is the Kaiju Drift lane. Hit the Kaiju Drift lane twice to get the scientist to drift using the Kaiju Brain. This is a hurry-up mode where you win by hitting the bumpers. Hitting the lit lanes will increase the timer, and you can hit the middle targets to ward off the Precursor's influence for a bonus payout. Winning this mode gives you the intelligence you need to seal the breach and stop the invasions once and for all. And the next lane over is the bomb run. 2 bomb run ramp shots will start this mode. avoid attacks by kaiju by dodging by hitting the lit lanes as the table shakes. Avoid attacks by the kaiju and tank all of the damage being thrown at you to try to help Striker Eureka seal the breach. This is by far the hardest main mode because it's going to test your ability to hit just about every lane on the table on purpose. Unless you're running a multi-ball, and then you can pretty much just use the shotgun approach of shooting everything in the general direction you need and hoping something hits a lit lane. After completing all 4 modes, you have access to the Wizard mode. The Wizard mode is called Canceling the Apocalypse. You see that, Knight Rider? This table has a cool fucking name for its Wizard mode. You're cooler than Pacific Rim, Knight Rider. Rename that shit something like Darker Than Night. I'm begging you, please. Anyways, on the Pacific Rim table, the Wizard mode is called Canceling the Apocalypse. Once all 4 main modes are completed, hit the core lane in the middle to start the multi-ball Wizard mode. Hit the lit lanes, then the kaiju targets. Hitting kaiju targets will light up jackpot lanes. When Gypsy Danger loses an arm, use the sword to fight the Category 5 kaiju. When the battle is won, a 60-second timer starts and Gypsy Danger prepares to overload its reactor, which can be accomplished by shooting the remaining balls into the core. Gypsy Danger will detonate and seal the breach once and for all. Now that we've gone over the main modes and wizard modes, it's time to look at the post modes. After a main mode is finished, you can use that lane to access its post mode. After a wizard mode is won, the lanes all reset and the main modes can be restarted. To start the Neural Handshake post mode, hit the lane 2 more times to light up a jackpot on another lane. Once you collect the jackpot, this can be repeated again. To start the double event post mode, hit the lane twice, and it will double the end of ball bonus award of synchronous combos for a set amount of time. Once the timer is up, all you have to do is hit the lane again to enable it. The Kaiju Drift post mode, hit the lane again to raise the score of every target shot for a short time. After the timer runs out, hit this lane once again to start it over. Hit the bomb run lane to raise jackpots on spinners for a short time, and to restart the timer, just hit the lane again. Pacific Rim has some very interesting multi-ball mechanics and multi-ball bonuses. You can free 2 captured balls from behind the target on either side of this table. 2 more balls can be added as random rewards or by starting the Canceling the Apocalypse multi-ball. And multi-ball has a unique feature on this table because they also act as bonus modifiers. At 2 balls, it doubles the jackpots. At 3 balls, it doubles target scores. And at 4 balls, you earn double points on every single score. The multi-ball bonuses are very valuable, which explains why the captured ball targets are the MVP of center drain returns. I have noticed the ball bounce straight down the drain off of these targets, and it may be responsible for the majority of my drains on this table, because I am like stupid good at hitting that spinner lane which turns on the kickbacks. I rarely ever shoot on these side targets on purpose, even though I really should. It's usually a lucky missed shot resulting in an unexpected multi-ball. I would suggest attempting to get the random multi-ball aboard first, and then intentionally shooting on these targets to raise your multipliers while you have a backup ball in play. Almost every other shot on this table feels insanely safe, and it's really rare that I see any kind of death bounce off of the posts between the lanes, and it's usually going to wind up as an outlane situation that can be saved by nudging or by enabling kickbacks, which are, again, very easy to earn. This table is so much better when multi-ball is running. I'm going to be practicing those side target shots a lot, and it would be nice to have those multi-ball bonuses for longer, and getting another skill shot for locking balls is really just the icing on the cake. And the reason for that is the connection skill shot. Knock down as many targets as specified and receive a skill shot bonus. It's kind of hard to do, but do not ignore the skill shot, because after 3 successful skill shots you will receive an extra ball, which I think is a highly unusual feature that I don't believe I've come across too many times on other tables. All you have to do is plunge with the correct strength to roll over the specified number of targets, and I would add that the plunger charges really fast if you're using the spacebar, and it's a lot easier to charge the plunger and then let the energy bleed off so that you can fine-tune the power of your shots. You can earn a Pacific Rim random award by spelling out Pacific Rim by hitting every single lane and then hitting the award lane where Gypsy Danger will pick up the ball and throw it back towards the right flipper. Shooting onto the left orbit, or what would be an orbit on any other table, often feels very anemic as the ball will travel nearly to the top of the ramp, but it's kind of a steeper ramp than the right orbit, and it takes a lot more force to complete that shot. The reason I'm mentioning this is because it involves the rhythm of this table, which is a very methodical left-right kind of rhythm, which is really reinforced by the synchronous shots using the lit flippers. Using the left flipper to shoot the ball into the inner orbit, or what would be an inner orbit on most tables, turns this pinball table into more of a baseball game. By hitting that prize lane and winding up a pitch where you're stepping up to the plate to swing on the ball and score a home run onto that handshake ramp. You can use this method to get the ball all the way up to the end of the ramp if you get the timing down. I like to dub this maneuver the Odachi Katana technique, after one of the more memorable scenes in the movie where Gypsy Danger wields a giant oil tanker like a katana, which looks amazing, if you can just ignore the fact that the tanker would shred like wet paper before it even made contact with the kaiju if you tried to swing it like this in reality. Except that we're just dealing with cartoon physics here, and appreciate the shot for how cool it looks. And you can use the actual physics to connect this very difficult shot. The other way to make this shot easier is to launch up the kaiju drift ramp so that the ball can build velocity on the runway down the habit trail leading to the right flipper, which should allow you to hit the top of the handshake ramp if you bullseye the lane. The problem with this very anemic ramp only appears in the normal physics, which mimic the Pinball FX3 physics. I've only seen the lane reject the ball once for lack of power when I was playing on realistic physics, and that was because it was an absolute shit weak ass flip, and it never had a chance in hell of making it up the ramp in the first place. Every other shot I have attempted on this ramp using realistic physics has just gone straight up the ramp, no problem. The random rewards from the prize lane include an extra ball, a jackpot raise, kickback, and 2 possible multi-balls. If you hit the rollovers above the flippers to spill out drift, it will raise the end of ball multipliers, raise it up to 10, and you'll get an extra ball next. These rollovers do deactivate, so prioritize the rollover management because you usually have plenty of time to do so. There is a single lit flipper at any given time. That's because it is used for the synchronous combo. One flipper lights up, and hitting the lane with that flipper raises your synchronous end of ball bonus. It is a really good idea to shoot on lanes with the lit flipper even if your target lane is on the opposite side of the table, because the ball will return in a very predictable manner to the opposite side of the table and set you up for the shot you wanted to make. And this is much preferable to other ball handling techniques that players would use to swap flippers, because that bonus will add up very quickly over the course of an entire game, and 100 synchronous shots will unlock the table award. When the kaiju drift mode is not running, hit the bumpers to light up the middle targets, which can be hit to collect massive point bonuses, and then it will reset the mode so you can do it again. The possible extra balls on this table are from skill shots as a Pacific Random Award, the Drift Extra Ball after 10 times bonus. Or you can hit a specified target score to earn an extra ball. How much? I don't know. The table guide just says a set score instead of, just listing the score. You can also get a multi-ball extra ball, which is earned by playing with your balls for a specific amount of time. How long? Fuck if I know. They don't say it in the instructions. Just keep your multi-ball going until you get that extra ball. I really enjoyed the Pacific Rim table. Most tables that look like this have a lot of fast-paced orbits and require you to play using your reflexes, but Pacific Rim feels appropriately weighty and very deliberate. The ramps feel very inviting, and the ball returns very predictably after every shot you make, and it even feels really easy to swap flippers using dead flips or by hitting the habit trail ramps if you need to make shots on the other side of the table. I don't think there's another table where I have felt more in control of the ball, and my personal bests just keep climbing higher and higher on this table. I just hit the mid-60s on the leaderboard, and I know I have a much better score in me. I was looking forward to this table, but I wasn't sure what to really expect out of it. The movie is pretty good, but I haven't gone out of my way to rewatch it, at least not until I started working on this review, and honestly, it was kind of second screen material while I was writing this script, but on the other hand, once I started understanding this table, it became pure joy to play. For some reason, the shots on this table feel almost intuitive. It plays with a very, very particular rhythm, and I start to feel like it draws me into the zone when I start syncing up with that rhythm. I am the many-talented Mr. Jefferson, and this is one hell of a standalone table. I have one more table to cover in this 5-part series, which covers all of the new tables released for Pinball FX. I have covered Battlestar Galactica, Xena, Warrior Princess, Knight Rider, and now Pacific Rim, and all that's left is the one table that isn't actually a new table. It's called Super League Football from Pinball FX2, and it's easily the most confusing table out of the 5. But once I'm done explaining it, the table will make perfect sense, unless you're an American, in which case you're still going to be confused why they keep calling soccer football. I am also working on a pinball and gaming podcast with my pinball rivals, Fantavision and Cuddly Dragon. I am a new fan of pinball, Cuddly Dragon is an even newer fan of pinball, and Fantavision used to be a casual fan and got addicted once he had people to compete with because pinball is a surprisingly social hobby, which is the whole point of this podcast, to get people together to talk about the tables and to set up tournaments. I would like to thank my viewers, my subscribers, my channel members, and a big thanks to all of you who went above and beyond in sponsoring my channel. I do not have a relationship with Zen Studios. I don't get these tables for free, but because of you all, I now own every table in Pinball FX, even the brand new ones. I'll see you soon in the last part of this 5-part series. Until then, toodles!